Welcome, 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 everyone. Welcome to another Connections. Super happy that you all could join us today. Glad that you are tuning in. And those of you who are tuning in later, thank you for taking an opportunity to watch another Connections here. I'm Matthew Reynolds of Matthew Reynolds Consulting. I'm the founder of it, and I'm here with my co-facilitator, Orion Bradshaw. And we talked a month ago now with Accountability Collective, and Kristen Mun was a part of that, which she then shared that she had gone through a program and became a facilitator of Dr. Amanda Kemp's work. And she has created Racial Justice from the Heart, and she is joining us from New Orleans today, which is just amazing that she took some time out of her rejuvenation with her family to speak with us. And we just wanted, it was like, this is a great collaboration to be able to talk about the work that we bring into the world. And I've been a fan of her work for about a year now, and watching all the goodness that she's put out there into the world. And a couple of goodnesses, is that a word? I can use it. Yeah. Shakespeare made things up. I'll make it up too. A couple offerings that she has coming up is People of Color Retreat that's happening in March, and also Drop the Guilt, Drop the Shame Retreat that's coming up this month as well. I personally have already signed up for People of Color Retreat and super excited to get that deep breath and exhale going on. But I would just like to open it up and invite Dr. Amanda to the microphone and let her share for you what she is all about and what she has to offer. Thank you again, Dr. Amanda, for being here.
You are so welcome. And thank you, Matthew. Thank you for all that you've been doing. I love it that a teacher of theater and dance, has pivoted into consulting and into equity and justice work. They are so related. They are so related, because I think ultimately what we're about is transformation, and the arts are a way to do that. And just the participation in the arts itself is, transformative for us. So healing, connecting, finding new parts of ourselves, accepting those parts that we find. So thank you for inviting me to be here. I do want to say ahead of time that I might pop out and pop back on my husband's phone in case this connection fails. But I'm really happy to be here, and thank you.
So, Dr. Amanda, I see that you have these two retreats that are coming up. What's the difference between the People of Color Retreat and Drop the Guilt, Drop the Shame Retreat? Can you tell us a little bit of the difference between the two for folks?
Yeah, well, the retreats are really geared around different problems. So for people of color, it's a People of Color for Self-Care and Liberation Retreat. And that comes from my experience in myself, but also watching other people of color who are doing racial justice work. It is very easy for us to get dry, to get tight, to get overheated. You know what I mean? I'm truly meaning these words. We're like, we can lose our juiciness, our greenness. So when we say we're getting burnt out, I think it's a really apt description of what was happening for me a couple of years ago. And I just took myself into this little self-compassion. It was like a book group. And I don't even know if I heard the word self-compassion before, honestly, before, putting myself in this little book group. And even though I was the only person of color in the group, it like opened my mind to like, oh my gosh, one of the big things that I got is that my mind is not here to make me happy. And other kinds of little jewels like, okay, Amanda, you don't have to date that thought, because that thought extends my suffering. There's a lot, that I'm not in control of in terms of systematic oppression. But I do want to have sovereignty of myself. And that work of owning myself, claiming myself, is requires ongoing attention and support, you know? So like right now, I find myself having pretty regular challenges with falling asleep at night or staying asleep. And if you know anything about sleep research, you know that it's a setup. It's a setup for me not to be the best leader I can be, for me to be, you know, a plane just went overhead, for me to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not that emotional is bad, but it's like triggered. And I wanna come from a place of balance and strength. And when I'm easily triggered, I can't be that balanced, centered leader, you know? So this workshop is for people like me who need to come inside somewhere and be tended to in a loving way. And the Drop the Guilt, Drop the Shame workshop is for people like my husband, who's of European descent. It really is for people who are doing this racial justice and equity work, who are coming to face and on a feeling level with the weight of their legacy of whiteness, of white supremacy culture characteristic practices that they've been engaging in and that have harmed them and other people. So it's so that workshop is really geared for people of European descent to come to a place of how can I be held accountable, be responsible for my actions without being emotionally swept off my feet and incapable of acting. So this is a workshop led by two of my European American trainers to really give European American folks some grounding.
Yes, 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 right on. As I'm listening to you, it's there's already this overwhelming sense of language that's talking to, you know, cellular things that I've captured or brought in, or cellular things that I've been thinking about, that it's like, oh, is that really what's coming up for me? That bamboozle, that indoctrination that I've taken in, that kind of hides from me some of the facts that are right there in front of me. And so it's, like I said, I've already signed up for the retreat, and I'm really looking forward to it. And one of the things also that I feel that we get in doing this work is when there are people that are like, I'm really interested in what you're doing and I want to support what you're doing. And is, how do I do that? How do I step in and support the work that has moved me in a way that I want to be able to give that to others? And so the other two folks that we have on the line, Kristen Mun, she has taken some work from you, and then she also decided to make that step and to step into the work as well. So Kristen, if you would you share a little bit of your journey to doing work with Dr. Amanda, to actually facilitating some work with her?
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that absolutely drew me to the work that Dr. Amanda was doing was just the company itself is racial justice from the heart, right? Because if you come at this with like a lens of like, I will tell you how it is, or I'm going to teach you, or I mean, you're just going to bring yourself out and you're just going to get exhausted. And it's like, it's funny when Dr. Amanda first said that, she said, your mind is not made to make you happy, was like, again, that was like a gem and a light bulb for me as well, where it was like, oh, right. Like, to practice self-love and self-compassion, it actually takes work. It takes work. It's like an athlete training, right? If you train your body, right, and then your body gets like more comfortable, right, you can go further, you can go farther. Like, self-love is actually the same, right? To cultivate self-love within yourself, it takes work, it takes training, and it takes a mentor. you know it like takes it takes someone else who is in the work, who is like has been doing it for longer, wiser than you, a little bit ahead, to be like, you know, you have to learn to love yourself. Dr. Amanda and I, when I first started my training, we had a mentor session together. And I think we were practicing self-love. And I think the thing I said was like, my capacity to love extends beyond myself. And Dr. Amanda was like, okay, make it simpler, Kristen. And I was like, I love you, Kristen. It's just so hard to say. It was so funny, but so eye-opening. And it really made doing racial justice work easier. I don't think easier is the right word necessarily, but it made it feel like I could do the marathon versus I could just sprint. um so yeah, that was like the biggest thing that really attracted me to racial justice from the heart, Dr. Amanda, and the work that she was doing. And even within even all of our workshops, we practice and we do energetic self-love practices within all of our workshops, so that you can start to train yourself to come from a more compassionate place, especially when it comes to racial justice work. Like even before our admin meetings, we hold space. We do a meditation, and we hold space and like fill ourselves up with unconditional love and unconditional acceptance, and then we move forward. And that practice is very helpful, not just for racial justice work, but also for life. If you have to go into a difficult conversation, fill yourself up first, and then you'll be able to lead from a more compassionate place. But yeah, I feel like the biggest thing I have learned and put into my life as a practice is just like this idea of like, we got to be more compassionate towards each other.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you so much. And that's, I've been one who I'm not a fan of the word training, because I feel that some people who offer trainings, that exactly that, people fall out of shape. If there's things that aren't coming to them in life, they fall out of shape. And just because you ran this marathon 3 months ago, you haven't ran since. You can't get up and run a marathon. So, but the way in which you just described training, it's like, maybe I need to rethink some of this and look at some of these ideas, because it really spoke to me in the way in which you used it just now, and with Dr. Amanda's work. And so, also on our call today, our video, our vlog, is Orion Bradshaw. And Orion is someone who's been with me through the inception of this work, actually prior to that, years prior to that, and has been my sounding board, has listened to a lot of this that I've been bouncing off as I am growing, as I'm learning to love myself and be my biggest, fullest, and brightest. So Orion, what has kept you staying in this work and wanting to actually be a facilitator as we move forward?
Yeah, thank you, Matthew. And thank you, Kristen and Dr. Amanda, for what you said so far. A lot to chew on. So now I'm thinking about like 6 different things at once, right? But I guess, I think, Matthew, one of the things that you've said, kind of, especially in the last handful of months, is you try to avoid that word training, because trainings tend to be this all cerebral thing. And I love that. I love that quote that Dr. Amanda and Kristen, you were kind of bumping around, and I actually want to put it in the chat, but we'll get to that. That thing about the brain not being built to, we'll get to it. But it's that thing of, if it's all kept cerebral, this work with a capital W is all kept cerebral, there is no real growth in it. It's like doing, it becomes like doing a math problem. And so, not that there's nothing wrong with math, y'all, but how can we build our agility up and our love? And I think it's not only building agility up within oneself, within myself, but it's also kind of to what Kristen and Dr. Amanda were saying. It's building up that capacity to love, and not just love myself, but love everyone else in a more sort of pure and selfless way. And I think that looks different for everyone. I think doing this work is scary for a lot of people, but I also think loving unconditionally is scary for a lot of people. that's a really dangerous place to go. And our brain, as y'all are saying, doesn't teach us to do that. That's not what it's for. It's for survival, right? And so I think to kind of get back to your question, Matthew, what's kept me in the work is realizing a lot of things, but I was in my training as a performing artist and an actor, and then also as a teacher. I've been given these tools that help me to self-preserve and help me to self-love, as well as practice empathy with the people around me. But then the daily grind of being in the real world and having to sort of do that 9 to 5 and look for that next job and try to keep the lights on and all the different metaphors I could come up with have actually internalized all that for me and made me much more individualistic within the way that I have been living. And so I don't know, I think specifically working with you during my grad program to get my teaching license. You were my coordinating teacher, Matthew, for the first half of the year. So I got to see how you how you held yourself in a space that isn't necessarily about you. It's about the students. It's about other people. I saw you practicing boundaries. I saw you holding people to high standards, but I also saw you loving unconditionally. And I think I realized at that point that was something that even though I like to think I've been a nice person for a long time and that I'm approachable and that I have people that trust me, I realized I wasn't doing that intentionally. It was just something that was coming kind of by instinct. Of like, I think I'm going to be nice because I was taught once upon a time it was the right thing to do. And I realized kind of being with you and also observing other people starting to do this work that I was missing out on some intentionality practice that I had learned once upon a time, but that I had to shut down, I think, out of survival. And so I wanted to, why can't it be both and? Why can't I really embrace the training and all the years I've spent being this person and having that be a part of my identity? But why can't I also reinvestigate what it means to be a person of the world, a person that lives for other people with more intention and doing it from a place of not wanting something back from them? I don't love people so that I can get stuff from them. I love people because that's what we're supposed to do. That's how we can play this long game. And as you say, Matthew, build a world that nurtures 7 generations from now. Because at the rate we're going, it's not going to be too good for them. Right. And so as Kristen, and just want to say, Dr. Amanda, we miss you and we'll see you soon. Okay. But Kristen, as you said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Right. And so that really helps me, that image of the 7 generations from now, coming to terms with the fact that this work can be really draining, as Dr. Amanda was saying, and really thankless, and yet really reconciling with the fact that I might not see the progress that I hope for in my lifetime, but that's not the point. The point is to make sure that our children and our children's children and so on and so forth, that they inherit something that they can really be not only have autonomy over in a really healthful way, but also something that nurtures them, that gives back to them. And it's that infinite sort of goodness that we're looking for, that it's an uphill battle right now, but
yes, there's a couple of things that you've sparked some thought on. My hope is that it's not what we're supposed to do, but that we get back to the place that we feel and we know that this is what we are. Not that what we're supposed to be or what we're supposed to do, but that we can actually realize and let humanity grow and expand to a position where we feel it on a cellular level, that, oh, this is part of being a human, this animal that's within and part of all this that's around us. And the other thing is this idea that for 7 generations from now, I don't want them doing the heavy lifting that we are doing right now, right? A lot of the words that Dr. Amanda and that Kristen were using, for this next retreat coming up and stuff, and needing to be rejuvenated and feeling dried out with that whole idea of being burnt out that Dr. Amanda was talking about. The idea of like just drying up because we're doing the work so often and so much, kind of thing, that I think it's really important for us as humans to realize that that isn't humanity being its biggest and fullest and brightest. And so bringing those ideas in so that I can have ownership of it. It's like my words, like Kristen and Dr. Amanda were saying certain things that were hitting me in a particular way. And it's like, I may be in agreement with them, but my lived experience has gotten me to this point in a different way than other people's lived experiences. So it's honoring that and others as we move forward as well. And Dr. Amanda, thank you for jumping back in. You warned us that may happen, and so I just want to bring up before we wrap things up for today. One of the things that we do in crafting your equity lens is that we look at the idea of internalized racial oppressions. So we look at what have I ingested knowingly and unknowingly in the indoctrination of becoming a US citizen or being a part of that structure. And so what I've been running into with a lot of Black, Indigenous, Asian, Pacific Islander, Latinx folks is that strong defiance of, giving the bird to it and being like, no, I am who I am and I'm going to stand strong in it and I don't need to let any of that in and and I want to be here. And yes, I agree with that. And in the same breath, I want to acknowledge that we've still internalized some of these constructs about race and who we should be. And so how do you invite in folks in a way, because I see a lot of people like crafting an equity lens. Yeah, whatever. I already live it. I do this every day. I look at the world differently, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, I get that. And we still internalize these things. So is there any advice that you can give some of our listeners and me, myself, to be able to invite more folks in to shift that way of seeing?
Well, one of the things I think is important to remember is that, for example, implicit racial bias, we have it. It may not be to the same extent or as strong as with people of European descent in terms of bias against our own group, but anti-Blackness is definitely something that we have. This society inculcates in all of us, including in the people of African descent. So we can't just rely on our childhoods or our parents or our ancestors to like inoculate us against it, because guess what? If you read post-traumatic slave syndrome, Dr. Joy Draguri breaks it down that we have carryovers from our enslavement experience that are in fact causing us to harm each other and our children. You know what I mean? It is at our peril that we don't examine what we have inherited from our people, including our people who loved us and our people who may have harmed us inside our families. Like, we need safe places to actually be real about what actually happened, how it hurts now. You know what I'm saying? What are the suspicions that we have about each other? The fear of being judged, how we're out there judging other people of color, my situation, other Black people. You know what I mean? I feel like we need spaces that we need to hold ourselves to account and to investigate, inquire. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, so how do we invite people in? It's an invitation, not an obligation. And honestly, when the pain gets bad enough, people are willing to seek out different teachers. When they're like, okay, I got this far with you, but okay, I went from being completely disempowered to now I feel like I'm super empowered. I'm part of the original, human race. I've got this sense of pride in myself, but I don't know how to work at this job. You know, I don't know how to, I don't know how to hold on to me and make connections with other people. And that is important in terms of you, you know, having the impact you want to have. So I feel like it's so important for us to have mentors and safe spaces where other people of color are leading us or supporting us in that inquiry from a place of self-compassion, but also from a place of honesty. So, you know, I think it's important, Matthew, for you to put your story out there, for me to put my story out there, for us to talk about, like in my book, Say the Wrong Thing. One of the things in there, I was looking at my husband because he knows he was there when I got my test results. I took the implicit association test, and my results came back with a moderate preference for people who were lighter skinned. I took it for skin color. And as you can see, my skin color is pretty dark. But when I got my results, I started thinking about my background, my family, the messages I had been receiving from people who loved me, who were helping to formulate my values. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, well, no wonder that thing is still inside here, you know? So, so just so we, you know, but, you know, a lot of us don't want to be vulnerable. I mean, we're tired of being hurt. You know, we feel like we have to keep a strong front. You know, we got to fight for people, struggle for our people. I mean, how people phrase it. But there was a meme going around and it was a Black woman and she said something like, I'm tired of being strong. I want to be whole. You know what I mean? Let's go for that. Let's go for wholeness. I think that's going to be juicier, you know, and I just appreciate what Kristen said. This is a marathon. This is life, moment by moment. You know, you just, you know, you got to live this thing moment by moment with as much breath and grace, you know, as you can muster, and you know, and keep moving, or be still, but keep breathing. So, you know, I say, amen. You know, I'm extending my love, and I say, you know, come on in. We invite you, you know, with love, with compassion, with honesty, because good is coming, but we got to show up.
Ooh. Grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. See, and now I'm getting hit with things, and I just want to keep going and keep going and keep chatting. I know though that Dr. Amanda, you have given us your time while you are with your family and you're rejuvenating. So I want to be respectful of that and extremely appreciative of the time that you offered. Kristen, thank you for sharing your story and being a part of Another Connections. It's so wonderful to have you and have you be a part of this. Orion, thank you for dropping things into the chat. So please, everyone, check out that chat, see what's there for you. Take a little bit of this, join us in these upcoming groups. I'm also a part of Claim Your Worth, which I'd love to talk to you about, Dr. Amanda, once we stop the Facebook Live. But Claim Your Worth, Trina Bolden Fields has put that together, and that's happening March 18th through the 21st. I'm one of the featured speakers. Yeah, we can switch that one around. And so, yeah, I'll be able to speak by the 18th of March, hopefully, and we'll be able to roll that out. But I just kept getting hit, Dr. Amanda, with the Claim Your Worth. It's like, yes, claim your worth. Everything that you're saying, it's like, claim that worth, claim the worth that is truthful to your authenticity of being a human, of, you know, you spoke of the original human. It's like, yeah, how far have we moved away from that? And let's get back to humanity. Let's put that at the core and at the center. And that's a beautiful thing. But before we go, really quick, Dr. Kemp, will you tell us about your earrings that you are wearing right now?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you can see them, but these are earrings I got from a local artist who's selling on the street. His name is Cleveland, and his business is called Weaving with Cleveland. I got his bracelet too, this little peacock. Because as Kristen knows, I have a Yemaya connection. And anyway, so yeah, so those are, so yeah, so support, you know, wherever you go when you leave home, support street artists, you know, to whatever extent you can, right? Yeah, you
Mhm,
know, you
mhm.
talking to a bunch of
Yes.
artists right here, because that's like Kristen's
Yes.
a theater artist, Matthew's a theater artist, uh,
Orion.
Orion's an actor. My husband sitting beside me off camera is a violinist. So
Yes.
you know, we support the artists. We know, you know. And it's
Exactly.
such a concrete, simple thing, simple
Mm.
thing.
Mm. I love
Mhm.
it. I love it. I love it. All right. Facebook, thank you for joining us again. Thank you, Dr. Kemp, for being here. Thank you, Kristen, for being here. Orion, thank you. And we'll see you on the 17th. Actually, we've got another connection twice this month. So we'll see you on the 17th. All right, y'all. Love you. Enjoy the day.